This is the Apple iPhone 16 Pro Max. Inside we do have the A18 Pro chip. The A18 chip uses the latest Apple design with 5-core GPU that also supports ray tracing and some other stuff, by the way, as well for the Pro and the non-Pro models. And according to Apple, the A18 chip should be 40% faster versus the GPU performance on the previous models, the iPhone 15. And because this is really the top of the line, the 16 Pro Max, inside we have one more GPU core, which actually makes it 6-core GPU instead of 5-core GPU, and it can deliver 20% faster performance compared to the GPU we had in the A70 Pro chip. And Apple are claiming that this is twice faster for hardware ray tracing. The A18 Pro is built on a 3nm process, 64-bit architecture. We do have two high-performance cores that can go up to 4.04 GHz, and we have 4 efficiency cores that can go up to 2.2 GHz. Now, this thing here, this small phone, is the Xiaomi 15. It does use the latest Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite. It's again built on a 3nm process, and it uses the Qualcomm Orion CPU, again 64-bit architecture. It has 2 primed cores that can go up to 4.32 GHz and 6 performance cores that can go up to 3.53 GHz. The GPU here is the Adreno 830 versus again the 6-core GPU that we have in the Apple A18 Pro. And in this video, guys, we're gonna be doing the heavy duty test. So let's try to set the scene, measure some temps and start testing. The iPhone starts with 95% of battery and we do have 27 Celsius. The Xiaomi 15 starts with 99% of battery and we do have 27 Celsius as well. Now both phones are connected to the Wi-Fi, so the first thing I'm gonna do is switch off the Wi-Fi and connect them to 5G. 5G connected here, 5G connected here as well. The next thing I'm gonna do is a Facebook Messenger call between both phones. I'm going to leave this running, minimize it. I've started Google Maps for a short pleasing drive to Prague, and I've also started a 4K Asia video running on 60 FPS. I'm going to leave this in a box, and now guys, we're gonna be starting some games and see the performance within the built-in meter. So this is gonna be CarHicks. I've also connected both phones to DualSense controllers so that I will not obstruct your view. Well, let's start CarHicks. I'm using the highest available settings on all phones, as you can see here. Also, the motion blur is on, smoke intensity is set to high, and there is no limits on the FPS. You're gonna see a timer here, and before I start playing, let's try to measure some temps. Alright, 34.7 already for the iPhone, 37.6 already for the Xiaomi. So now let's just hit city and let's just start driving. First, I want to test my controllers. Alright, this one works. I'm gonna test also the Xiaomi. Alright, good. Everything works. And you can observe the FPS counter in the bottom left corner. And I know that some people will say that the CarHicks is not optimized for iOS, but I'm not looking here to do any performance review for the game itself. I just want to see how the phone will handle it and how long can the phone sustain with a Facebook call, active navigation with Google Maps, 4K Asia 60 FPS videos, and also of course using 5G, because 5G really puts a lot of stress on the phones. Now, okay, enough with the iPhone. Let's try to play with the Xiaomi a bit. Now let's check the iPhone. It seems that the small YouTube window here is indeed HDR, and on the Xiaomi it doesn't look like this. But the good news is that both phones did not drop on the brightness yet. I am, by the way, using auto brightness because I just want to see how well or not well the phone can handle. And now it's time to check the CarHicks on the Xiaomi. The performance on the iPhone wasn't great, sometimes lowering like 13 FPS, but overall still very playable. You can see even right now it renders at 45 FPS. And I can already feel the heat from the Xiaomi just being even like 5 centimeters away from it. Let's just try to measure some temps again. 42.6 for the Xiaomi, 38.4 for the iPhone. Although the hottest point of the iPhone is really on the back, anyway, this is still a good indication on what happens to the phone. Now back on the iPhone, you can see it averages at like 44 FPS. But the good news is that the iPhone is still using HDR and the little YouTube picture-in-picture mode. And this is not a case, I guess, with the Xiaomi. Alright, 44 for the iPhone. Let's see. Xiaomi 15 Snapdragon 8 Elite. Starting like a boss with 60 FPS. Okay, 57 FPS. I'm just trying to do some donuts here to see how this will impact the performance. Alright. Steady 55 to 60 FPS. Now back on the iPhone. Just try to do a donut with the iPhone as well. Yeah, definitely CarX not the best game optimized for iPhone. But we don't make those games, we just play them and test them. And if you are doing what I do right now, then most probably you'll get a similar result. So the iPhone 16 Pro Max, definitely lower performance in CarX. Maybe 10 to 15 frames per second lower than what I see on the Xiaomi. I'm gonna leave it like this here on the road, guys. Alright, you can see 60 FPS rendering when I'm not doing anything. And when I start to play, it drops just by a bit. 42 FPS for the iPhone already, just standing there, parked, doing nothing. The good news is that after this gameplay, both phones are still able to maintain the brightness, they are not dimming the screen, and the iPhone 16 Pro Max is outputting HDR in this small picture-in-picture YouTube video. Let's see if my Facebook call is going on, so I'm just gonna click here. Yep, it seems that it is up and running, and my navigation is still running. 42.3 for the Xiaomi 15, 39 for the iPhone. Let's try to do one more time. 39.4, and if I turn it on the back, guys, yeah, we have 41.8. We now drop to 89% of battery here and to 90% here. And now I'm gonna use 5G to download Asphalt on both phones. All right, let's download it over mobile data and see what is gonna happen. The file size for the iPhone is 3.6 gigabytes and for Android is 3.2 gigabytes. And I do believe that the iPhone will be quicker as it already downloaded the game. At this point of time, the Xiaomi 15 finished the download as well, but I do believe that even if it shows 5G, it's not using 5G, as I really had to download it for like 10 minutes, and usually with 5G this thing is very quick. So although I have 5G here, most probably is not. Now it's time to play the game and see what happens. Sadly, I'm running into some issues with Asphalt 9 on the Xiaomi 15. I'm not sure what the reason is. Could be that it's not optimized. I need to experiment further, so this is why I'm gonna start 3D Mark. But first thing that draws my attention is the iPhone brightness seems to be dimmer than the iPhone. So what I'm gonna do, guys, I'm gonna hit it up. I'm going to leave both phones at maximum brightness and then start the test, see what happens. Keep in mind that we still have the YouTube video that is running, we do still have the Google Maps navigation, we are using 5G, and yes, we have an active Facebook Messenger video call. Let's see what the results are going to be, and we are going to continue with the test until something happens. 36.4 for the iPhone, so it's no brainer. But you can see that the iPhone is really loading the test slower than the Xiaomi. So apparently this type of activities, all of them running in parallel, really take a lot of toll on the phones. The iPhone runs the test with like 18 FPS, and I do believe that the Xiaomi is just a bit better. But let's see what is gonna happen at the end. The Xiaomi 15 is ready and it didn't drop the brightness. I have a feeling that the iPhone dropped the brightness a bit, as it isn't so bright as it used to be like before the test. Alright, the overall score on the iPhone, 2855 versus 4394 with an average FPS of 26 versus an average FPS of 17. And now I would like to run CarX again and see what is going to happen. As this test continues for more than 40 minutes, I think it's going to be way tougher for the phone to even maintain the FPS that they were able to maintain in the first place. Alright, like 30 FPS, something like this for the iPhone isn't great. Let's try to do a donut here and try to spin some wheels. 53 FPS. With YouTube running, HDR 4K 60 FPS, picture-in-picture, on 5G, with an active Facebook Messenger video call, and with navigation. This is nothing less but impressive. So let's see what the iPhone will do. And I know that people will say that this phone is not optimized for iOS. Well, we don't make these games, we just play and test them. So nevertheless, this is the end result. Alright, 35 FPS, sometimes probably up to 39. But overall the game isn't playable. One more test with the Xiaomi 15. Yeah, actually quite nice. And again, I'm not sure if this game is optimized for A18 Elite either or for Android, but it seems that it really runs better. Okay guys, I do believe that now we can do the extreme stress test from 3D Mark and see which phone is going to survive. I did not close the CarX games, I just minimized it, and what I'd like to do right now is initiate a 3D Mark extreme stress test. Everything else is still running on both phones, and I have a feeling that this test is going to be very tough for both phones. Now, just to show you guys, everything really on the iPhone runs very smooth, almost, alright? And I do believe it's kind of the same for the Xiaomi. I can go back in all the games, I just want to show you how it works. Alright, smooth, right? Not so smooth. I have restarted the YouTube video and now I'm going to execute the Wildlife Extreme Stress Test. The brightness here still on maximum on both phones. I just want to do it like this so that we can see with our eyes how or when one of them phones will gonna drop the brightness. Alright, let's start the test and let's see what happens. My feeling is that the Xiaomi 15 will overheat. By the way, both phones here are without a case, but nevertheless, I want to see what is going to happen after 20 rounds of Wildlife Extreme testing. And the starting temps are 37.5 for the iPhone, so probably a bit higher, and 44.4 for the Xiaomi. Now, my test with the Xiaomi 15 and with Snapdragon 8 Elite showed me that when the phone reaches 49, 50, 51 Celsius, this is the end of it. The thermal throttling kicks in and really closes everything and tells you, hey man, you're trying to burn your phone, calm down, hold your horses, I need to cool down. So let's see what is going to happen. By the way, it's quite impressive to see that the Xiaomi is able to output 25, 27 FPS and the iPhone is already struggling with this, and this test is really putting a lot of heavy strain to the GPU, 100% GPU utilizations, and I know this because I tested this with PerfDoc. Remember, we still have a YouTube video running, and yep, I have to acknowledge the iPhone is still showing this in HDR. Here, I don't think we have HDR, but the YouTube video is 4K HDR 60 FPS, it's displaying. We have 5G on both phones with the same operator. We do have also Google Maps active navigation and a running call with Facebook Messenger. It's with video. Nevertheless, now the video is not on the call, but the call is still active. Again, really impressive. See just what the Xiaomi 15 is doing with all of this, and the iPhone is really delivering like 10, 11 FPS. My expectation is the same would have happened with Asphalt, but sadly I cannot even run Asphalt here. I'm not sure if the game is not optimized for Snapdragon 8 Elite or it's probably HyperOS 2. It could be a combination of all of these factors. Now, let's try to measure some temps. 47.8 for the Xiaomi. I do believe that the Xiaomi will soon reach 50. I hope I'm wrong, but nevertheless, let's see how much we're gonna get, guys. And remember, with games, you're not able to always put 100% stress on the GPU, although Call of Duty Mobile Warzone was doing this for a few minutes on the Xiaomi 15. So 3D Mark is really pumping a lot of your GPU resources, if not actually all. 9, 10 FPS for the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Here we do have a drop. It's like between 18 to 26 FPS for the Xiaomi 15. We are in loop number 6. Let's try to measure some temps. 38.8 for the iPhone, and I think it's probably more than 40. 50.94, yeah. Device overhead, guys, right? I guess this was really inevitable. I told you, when this phone reaches 50 Celsius, it just dies. Wait until the device cools down before you're able to use this feature again. Now, this is pretty much it, guys. See, like I can probably try to unlock the phone. Navigation works, YouTube video still is playing, I'm still using 5G, of course the Facebook call dropped. So what happens with the Xiaomi? Xiaomi is back in the game, let's see, 47.5. Let me restart the YouTube video. I'm just thinking guys, when the Xiaomi 15 reaches to like 50 Celsius, of course it drops. I'm not sure if you can achieve this with gaming, maybe yes when you play for like 2 hours. 3D Mark Extreme Stress Test is really putting a lot of strain to the GPU. So what I would like to test right now is start CarX game once more, 39.8 for the iPhone. So absolutely better thermals. The screen now became even more brighter. I do believe that it's not throttling so much, but let's start CarX and see if we are able to play a bit longer and see the FPS that we're going to get. Wow, definitely guys, see what happens here. The iPhone is back. I wanted to say that the iPhone is back in the game as it started with like 59 FPS. Very quickly, then it dropped to like 30. Let's see what the Xiaomi 15 will deliver. Strong start with like 60 FPS, and yeah, the game is absolutely playable. All right. So just have in mind, whatever you do on the Snapdragon 8 Elite with the oh, 5 frames. Oh my god. I was about to say that whatever you do with the Snapdragon 8 Elite inside the small body of a Xiaomi 15, the moment the temp goes to like 50 Celsius, I do believe this is really game over. And of course the question comes down to like, can you get this in a real life scenario? Well, most probably yes, when you play like for hours. But the thing is, you'll not stream a YouTube video, use navigation, use this only on 5G, and do also run a Facebook call, like not in a real scenario. So I do believe really a lot of respect for the iPhone. The iPhone was able to survive, and the way it did it, guys, is by really dropping the performance on the GPU, because I was getting like 8 to 9, 10 FPS in 3D Mark. The Xiaomi 15 on the contrary decided to not drop performance, delivering like 20 FPS in 3D Mark, but this resulted into 50 Celsius, and this is only on the surface of the phone, because remember inside is probably like 90 already, and yeah, the phone overheated. So because this is a heavy duty test, I will have to say that for me in this test the Apple iPhone really survived. Again, it wasn't the best, but it survived. And although the Xiaomi 15 delivered a better performance in this game that I know is probably not optimized well for iOS, but then also in 3D Mark, right? At the end, the Xiaomi 15 failed the test and it died. And now I know a lot of people will say, why are you comparing the small Xiaomi and not the big one, the Pro one and the Ultra one? Well, I don't want to buy the Pro, I just want to get the Ultra when the Xiaomi 15 Ultra is released, or probably get the Vivo X200 Ultra or the Oppo. Long story short, we need to compromise between peak performance, what we've seen here, versus sustained performance that we've seen here. It's not great at some point, but it still works. Here it starts with a wow, but then eventually dies off. Let me know what you think down below in the comments, and if you enjoy content like this, just go and watch some of my previous videos. Thank you so much, VST over and bye.